Today we're going to talk about neutral skips a little bit. We're also going to talk about system mechanics, which I think is the more important thing. I made a video, we did a little chit chat where I talked about neutral skips in fighting games. A common response was neutral skips on characters are fine. The problem is that it's on system mechanics, and you, Sajam, didn't talk about including neutral skips into system mechanics, and it's like a problem, right? Well, I talked about that in the video, by the way. Why is it a problem if a system mechanic allows you to skip neutral? Is it a problem if a system mechanic helps you on defense? Or is it only when it skips neutral? It's the same era where a lot of fighting games have put in strong defensive mechanics or made blocking good in their games. Street Fighter parry is like the best blocking you can do. It's so strong. Having a strong defensive mechanic like that makes sense because the offensive mechanics are strong. The neutral options are strong, the neutral skips are strong, the zoning is strong. Like, there's all these good things that you can do in the game. It makes it a lot of fun, and it means that the power level of the game can be quite high. I want to make it clear that I'm not telling you all fighting games are perfectly balanced or that the system mechanics are under or over tuned in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that goes at the beginning, Moste. Maybe we have to put that at the beginning of the video. I assume the start of all this is that the system mechanics that our neutral skips are talking about are drive rush, and I assume Granblue dashing light, forward advancing neutral skips that are tied to system mechanics, right? You guys may know that some other games have been releasing and they also have system mechanics that neutral skip, like Dragon Ball, Super Dash, really strong, Vanish also. Before that, a lot of people would talk about V-Trigger in Street Fighter 5, sweep into V-Trigger or button into V-Trigger or Akuma Red Fireball into V-Trigger, Exert, Fireball, YRC, really, really strong, Teleport YRC. Before that, if you look at XX or plus R, FRC, really, really strong in that game, right? Street Fighter 4, Focus Attack is a very powerful neutral skip. It's armored, forward advancing that you can bail out of at any time. You can backdash it or forward dash. It costs you nothing. And also it lets you absorb fireballs and gain ultra gauge. Parry in third strike, like you can jump, options to like parry, and then they try to anti-air you, you parry their anti-air, you land a jump in, you get a hit. There's like a ton of examples in older games. You guys get the point. I mean, if you want to call assists in versus games neutral skips, I suppose, but like honestly, versus games are like 95% neutral skip. They're built to be that way. It's like a part of their neutral is the movement is fast and like all kinds of stuff. UMVC3 has no neutral skips. I'm gonna click Vajra assists and then input a teleport, and we'll see about that. I'm gonna call a jam session and then play 0, and we'll see what happens. Overlying point is that all of these games, like so many old games, also have neutral skips built into their system mechanics, right? Let's talk about Street Fighter 4. We have Focus Attack, allowed you to skip neutral because it's an armored advancing, it's plus on block. You get a combo on hit. It builds up your ultra gauge when you absorb something with it, so it gives you another win condition, and if you fully charge it, it's unblockable. Now that description makes it sound nightmarish, but obviously there's ways to deal with Focus Attack, like all things in fighting games, right? When you talk about Focus Attack, people aren't saying, yeah, Focus Attack is so cheap. I fought Rose and she did Focus Attack. What you're saying about Focus Attack is I fought Fei Long, or I fought Dudley and Dudley was focus attacking me, or the characters that have strong focuses, right? Even though Focus Attack is a system mechanic level move that allows you to neutral skip. A character with a strong focus attack is different than a character like Rose, whose focus attack sucks. It's like not very useful offensively. Same kind of thing happens, by the way, when you look at the power of the system mechanics in 5, Akuma Red Fireball, or like Urian V-Trigger from tackle or crouching medium kick is so much more despicable than like Ryu doing sweep into V-Trigger. Street Fighter 6, how many of you are complaining about Manon's drive rush or Zangief's drive rush? Like, you're not. We're talking about the ones that are extremely powerful when in regards to the system, like DJ or Jury. If we remove the characters from the equation and we just look at the system mechanics, it very quickly devolves back into characters. Why is that? Because even in regards to the system mechanics, the characters all have their own unique versions of these moves, and some are better than others. A character jumping at you and parrying have different levels of reward in a game like Third Strike. Or like if Chun-Li low parries you and does crouching medium kick super, it's way worse than if you get low parried by like 12. They have different rewards from parry or like custom combos and stuff like that in older games, or roll cancel options if you're playing CVS. And some characters don't have good neutral skips in regards to the mechanics. Like Cammy, her drive rush isn't very good as a neutral skip, right? But her neutral skips, she still has dive kick and she has spin knuckle because that's how the character is, right? She's designed to have different tricky approach options. Even though it's important, let's talk about them as system mechanics, their power is still intrinsically attached to the character. So let's go back to Street Fighter 4. Fei Long, he would charge a focus attack and go boom, and he hit you with his fist. His focus attack was super powerful. Plus on block, and like Fei Long has a command grab, or if it hits you, it just does heavy punch and a rekka, and you're in the corner already. It's really scary, right? Rose, her focus attack is not very good as a neutral skip. But because of the system mechanic focus attack, which is a neutral skip, It allows Rose to escape on defense better than almost any other character in the game because she can focus backdash. And so many other characters have stuff like this. So focus is a neutral skip, but it also gives characters safe or plus on block until ultra when they change it. Characters do Shoryuken and then they FADC forward, they get pressure. If it hits, they can use their ultra to get like huge damage or whatever other juggle they're trying to do from this same neutral skip option. This focus attack ties into having powerful defense from focus backdash, which is hard to OS and chase. It's really difficult for some characters in particular, Chun-Li or Rose. Focus attacks are unblockable, right? If your character doesn't have a reversal in Street Fighter 4, and someone just does a full charge focus attack on you and you have no escape, what are you gonna do? The game has invincible backdashes. They didn't want every person in the game to like get a knockdown, do focus attack, and then it's either a straight 50-50 whether you're gonna like let the focus attack rip and you can't get out if you don't have a reversal, or they canceled it and then I did my reversal and I die anyway. Street Fighter 4 had lots of really powerful defensive mechanics, right? They had like one of the most powerful defensive throw techs I can ever think of. It gives you a free ultra every round that you can just throw out also on defense because like it's not tied to your super gauge or anything. These things all tie together. In the same way that V-Trigger, right? V reversals were a very powerful tool in Street Fighter 5, especially later on in the game's life. You would just use them offensively over and over to knock your opponent down when you had pressure so that you didn't have to deal with anything. So as strong as the activation was on offense, the V gauge on defense was really powerful, and also characters had V skills, and there was other ways to interact with the exact same system mechanic that V-Trigger was built from. A lot of the times, the best answer to many characters' V-Triggers or to use your V reversal. Street Fighter 6 is the same kind of way. The system mechanics are designed this way. Like there's a really powerful system mechanic based on neutral skip with drive rushes, but this also gives characters juggles and extensions, gives them extra anti-airs or ways to position themselves on the screen. Throws are strong because the game is fast-paced and you stick to people, but when you throw tech, whoop, it like ejects you. And the system mechanics are also built on the same drive gauge, which also has defensive system mechanics that are quite strong. Drive rushes are really powerful, but drive parries are really powerful. They are all tied together in the same idea. And yeah, you may say, I think that drive reversals, as an example, are too weak or something, right? That's totally fair. I think there is also concern, though, that if they're just too strong, the game might devolve into like, you get near me, I instant drive reversal, and then you're back to neutral. And if they, especially if they nerf approach tools, imagine fighting Guile or JP, and the minute you do like a light on block, they drive reversal, get sent away, and you're like, okay. Back to the greater point here. Most of the time, these neutral skips make sense and are tied into the rest of the system mechanics. Right now, people want the neutral skip to be nerfed, right? They want drive rush to be nerfed. But like a week ago, they wanted parry to be nerfed. So they want neutral. But 2 weeks ago, everybody posted Luke's crouching medium punch on Twitter, the forbidden arm of Exodia. So now we're complaining about neutral. Like, that's just a poke. So what are you gonna do for the next version of the game, right? If you listen to people, you should nerf parry, you should nerf drive rush, you should nerf neutral, you should nerf zoning, you should nerf throws, you should nerf defense. Like the game should be bad. Characters should not have good normals. Characters should not have good neutral. Characters should not have good zoning. Characters should not have good offense. System mechanics should be weak and not impactful. And like, don't take this as me saying that I think all drive rushes are fine. I'm not telling you that like DJ's drive rush is fair or like it doesn't need to be nerfed. I'm just telling you to think about the system mechanics of the game and why they exist in the way they are in the context of the game. Now, you may notice the one thing I haven't talked about is Granblue, because this one takes, I think, the most extrapolation. I played the original Granblue. I like that game. It's a game about walk and block, right? And why is that? Because in that game, when you dash, you get a run, okay? And this run cannot be canceled into block. So while you're running, you can't just hold down back and block. If someone pokes you, you get hit. You have to cancel this run into a dodge, a roll, a jump, or like some kind of action, right? A button, a special move, a super, whatever, right? You can't run and then block. And characters have big normals and projectiles and stuff like that. So a lot of the game was walking and blocking. And it was a very slow paced game, right? A very defensive game. And a lot of people like that game. I like that game too. I thought the original one was very fun. But it was a very particular taste, right? You had to enjoy that style of the game to find it fun. Otherwise, you might bounce out pretty quickly because the game pace was pretty slow. Let's look about the new game and the new system mechanics, right? There's dashing light. Universally, it's an advancing, very fast, +2 on block move. Usually your check is like light or something afterwards, right? And if it hits, you can hit confirm. If you're close, you can do your medium auto combo. If you're in the corner, the damage is great. If you're mid-screen, it could be pretty high actually, or it could be just like light special. Why did they put this in the game? Let's think about current Granblue. Have you looked at what they gave these characters? These new U moves, you guys might have seen them. These moves are unhinged. So many characters have like full screen neutral skips or full screen anti-airs. The best way to describe them is fuck it, we ball moves that cost super gauge, because as you guys may know, the original Granblue, your super gauge was your super. And there wasn't other uses for it for a while. That was like a problem. So they made a big fuck it, we ball move that you can spend your super on, right? If this game did not have dash attacks or fast movement, imagine fighting Zeta or Grimnir or some character that has a full screen anti-air where you have to walk and block them the whole time. Like Zeta's just fireball, 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 and then you jump from 80% of the screen away, boom, she flies across the screen, boom, she lasers you and she does like 65%, right? They probably realize that if most characters have huge special moves that you can do in neutral that snipe lots of different things, if the neutral approach options aren't strong, characters are gonna suffer. The other thing is, blocking is still quite strong in Granblue on defense, right? So like when you're posted up, just like blocking on defense, and someone does like dash light, close em, dash light. Like, what do people do? They eat 6 or 7 dash lights in a row, and then someone runs up and throws them, and then they get a late tech because they mash delay jab, and then that's it. Blocking in the game on defense is still very powerful. They gave you the ability to extend combos mid-screen or in the corner, with a new resource, even if you don't have other special moves on cooldowns and stuff, right? The other thing they did was that they gave you a really powerful defensive option to use it as well. The guard cancel in this game is absurd. It's like one of the best ones I've ever played with in a game. It's really powerful. It's super fast, +6 on block. And it gives you a knockdown, and it's great for setting up chip scenarios too. Like people block one thing and they're like, I'm sick of this. And they just go boom, like it's really strong. And if you're spending all your meter on the U moves, you don't have super, then to get your crystals back or drain your opponent's crystals. These system mechanics, when you're mad at one of them, often if you think about the whole, the sum of all of its parts, you can sort of contextualize why they did stuff. Like, do I think White Wild Assault in Strive is silly? Like it's extremely powerful and goofy. Yes. Why did they do it? Well, they thought that the big characters needed better approach options. These big characters are big and slow, and other characters have lots of really strong moves and like good stuff that they can do, and they have better pokes, so we're just gonna give them an invuln thing that flies in. And yeah, maybe Bedman needs it, but like Gold Lewis does not. They missed the mark, and like people know that, so like they'll probably change it, but like you can contextualize why they probably did that. I get why they thought this, but you thought wrong, motherfucker, change it back. So that's like kind of my greater point here about system mechanics. And no matter how powerful or useful or whatever the system mechanics are, it always comes back to the characters. DJ with Manon's Drive Rush and Sway would be better than Manon with Manon's Drive Rush, right? So you have to think about the characters inevitably anyway, and these system mechanic neutral skips have existed for a long time. And you have to think about these system mechanics and why they exist in the entire space of the game. I want to make it clear. I'm not telling you they're perfectly balanced and everything makes sense and it's a-okay. I'm just telling you that they exist, and logically, you can piece together why all of them exist in this ecosystem. Listen. Tried out UL or a 6? I played UL the other day, and I've tried out 6, but I despise him because I know my opponent is having so much fun playing him, and I don't like that. They neutral skip like 4 times in a row, and then you knock them down, and you stand completely still, and you're like, do it. And then they immediately counter, and you're like, you fucking suck. You sound upset about the neutral skips? That's not the part that gets me.